Welcome back to Crux, Stationalis, where we're exploring the Roman station churches. This is our Lenten pilgrimage through the most holy sites of Rome. Today we enter San Lorenzo in Lucina, the Roman station church for Friday of the third week of Lent. It's a church rich in history, faith, and artistic splendor. This basilica is not only a tribute to St. Lawrence, one of the church's greatest deacons and martyrs, but it is also the home of a masterpiece of Guido Reni, one of the finest painters of the Baroque era. At the heart of San Lorenzo in Lucina stands Guido Reni's Crucifixion, a painting that captures the suffering and majesty of Christ in a way few artists have achieved. Created in the early 17th century, this monumental altarpiece is a striking example of Reni's signature style, a blend of classical beauty, emotional depth, and divine serenity. Unlike many depictions of the Crucifixion that emphasize raw agony, Reni's Christ is ethereal, almost otherworldly. His body is sculpted with a graceful lightness, avoiding exaggerated suffering while still expressing the weight of sacrifice. The muted color palette, dominated by soft flesh tones, the deep blue of the sky, and warm golden light, creates an atmosphere of solemn majesty. A key feature of the painting is Christ's upward gaze. While many crucifixion scenes show Jesus looking downward or outward, Reni presents him lifting his eyes to the Father, reflecting the words from Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me?" This upward focus not only emphasizes Christ's relationship with God the Father, but also invites the viewer to lift their own heart in contemplation. Reni was deeply influenced by Raphael's gracefulness and Caravaggio's dramatic lighting, but he developed his own unique style that sought to capture the idealized beauty of the divine. His Christ on the cross is not just a figure of suffering, but a vision of triumphant surrender, exuding a priestly dignity in his final act of redemption. And the beauty of this Guido Reni is when you're standing in the piazza outside the basilica, you can look into the central windows above the door, and you see this brilliant corpus of Christ upon the cross, painted by Guido Reni. And it has a brilliant whiteness to it, as though you're looking precisely at the host elevated during Holy Mass. And Guido Reni did this intentionally. And I think often when we're walking around Rome, or when we're looking back at everything that was inspired by the faith of eras, the faith of individual artists, we forget that they too have things to teach us, that we can step into that world which is connected along this whole line of faith, from the early Christian martyrs to the masters of the Baroque period to our present age. We have access to contemplate the divine mysteries, and we can do that together. We can do that with the wisdom of the ages. And so it causes pause, and it helps us reorient our prayer to just ensure that we are tapping into the depth of the beauty. And I hope some of these episodes are able to help you with that. And if you make it to Rome, or if you're just able to watch my videos, which are linked in the video description, then you're able to explore Rome in the way that it's meant to be explored, through the eyes of the faith. While this artistic treasure of San Lorenzo in Lucina is breathtaking, the church is first and foremost a shrine to its patron, St. Lawrence, the great deacon martyr of Rome. St. Lawrence was burned alive on a gridiron, we know this story, during Emperor Valerian's persecution in 258 AD, famously telling his executioners, "Turn me over, I'm done on this side." His unwavering faith and bold witness made him one of the most venerated saints of the early church. Inside this very basilica, a relic of the gridiron on which he was martyred is preserved, a powerful reminder of his sacrifice. Just as Reni's Christ lifts his gaze toward heaven, so too does St. Lawrence teach us to embrace suffering with courage, knowing that true glory lies beyond the cross. San Lorenzo in Lucina today stands at the crossroads of faith and art, where Guido Reni's masterpiece invites us to meditate on Christ's passion, and St. Lawrence's relic calls us to live our faith with boldness. As we continue our Lenten pilgrimage, may this church inspire us to offer our sufferings to Christ, lift our gaze to heaven, and follow in the footsteps of the saints. And I have one thing just to offer. If you need sort of the most helpful book of meditations on the Passion, you can also find that in the description of this podcast, called 31 Days of Meditations on the Passion of Christ. It's a book that was written for Passionist novices, and it's something which has been recently discovered, and I have it available for you in print, in hardback and softcover. And I draw from it whenever I'm meditating or whenever I need to speak on the Passion, because it's coming from the charism in the church in the last 300 years, which has at its heart the memory of the Passion. So don't forget to check out the video tour of San Lorenzo in Lucina, and I'll see you in the coming days at Crux Stationalis. God bless you as we continue on during Lent.